then you also get to see that this whole module is very dynamic. You will be able to see it in any kind of screen size. If you've got a wider screen, it'll just readjust everything accordingly. You can see it by 4 by 4, or one module can be shrunk down to one size. You can see them as charts, pie charts, line graphs, bar charts, as well as table. Another very interesting thing is you can also now see per account. You can go to the top right and select the accounts, and the entire chart section will change to the kind of account, to the kind of metrics based on the account that you select. You also will be seeing on the right side, you will see there on the top right, you will see that is the number of devices that I used. You want to minimize the number of total device types that you want to use in overall business. Many times we don't get to see how many devices are actually used in your business, but this gives us a very clear overall view of the number of device types that are being utilized. Maybe they're like very old account that is using maybe 5 or 6 units which are using some obscure devices, and you can get back to them and upgrade your device for that particular installation. Thank you.
Thank you. The next feature is called private trips. In fact, this is the newest feature that we have added. And in fact, we haven't added it yet. It will be available next week, but it will be added straight to the master branch. So a lot of our European partners have been asking to add this feature for quite some time. The thing is that in Europe, you really need, the thing is that in Europe, companies often allow their workers, such as salespersons, for example, technical maintenance teams, or medical visitors, to use company cars in private trips. But at the same time, laws in European countries are strict. They do not allow tracking of employees outside working hours. So this feature is a solution because if you enable the checkbox, do not show unit location, all GPS coordinates, all location will be hidden. So you can use this nice feature if you would like to hide location. This will be in private mode, sensor properties, and it will be added next week.
Thanks. Yes, I'll talk to you about this later. We're already getting questions. At the end of the presentation, we do have a Q&A, and you may ask. Okay, one of our partners may already recognize this. We listen to our partners very attentively, and we put them into practice. So what we have here is another referencing system, like latitude and longitude. Now we have MGRS. MGRS, as it states, is military grid referencing system. This is used by NATO militaries, navies, and usually the North American, North Atlantic Treaty Organization armies, like the United States, Canada, Germany, all those countries will be using MGRS in their consoles, and whenever they reference, they will be referencing by this alphanumeric code, the 14-digit alphanumeric code that you see at the bottom. What it does is it crunches down latitude and longitude into a alphanumeric grid referencing system. And now Wialon supports that. How do we do this? Yeah, so you can also see the number of characters that are reduced to this. This supports latitude and longitude will require 19 characters, depending on the accuracy that you go with. And the MGRS is 14 characters. That's a 20% saving, ladies and gentlemen. Now we go to the, how do we do this in Wialon? You go to the user setting, and from the user setting at the bottom you will see the format, from the user setting you will go to the geodata source, and you select MGRS coordinates. This is already available now for all accounts. And then you would go to scroll down further, and you will select MGRS, where it's also giving you the example of how it's going to appear. And then what it allows us to see is this grid. As you zoom in, the first two-digit referencing will expand, and you will be able to see the rest of it. As you can see here, both of the referencing systems are already shown here at the bottom right side. And then in reports, you can also show MGRS addressing in your columns, in your reports. So you go to settings and select MGRS. And you can probably just select city, and then the length of that addressing will also reduce. If you select all of them, it will show everything. But if you just select one of them, it will show the addressing with MGRS, like this. Now, I have selected MGRS, and it shows just one element, that's the city part of it. So this is how we get to use MGRS. And it's also available in the geofence, in addressing in the notification. So when you send a notification, you will also get this addressing. Yes? Thank you.
Okay, good. So we have added a few features that concern notifications and geofences. And we've got some really good news for those who wanted to turn off browser notifications when you operate under your top account. We believe that you don't really need to know when some vehicle of your customer stops or enters geofence or overspeeds. This is simply not necessary, and it creates a lot of distraction, especially if you have big number of accounts, big number of units, and you can know that these units can generate just tons of notifications within just a few minutes. So we have added a feature that allows you to select which notifications will be displayed and which notifications will be turned off, as well as resources if you need. So you may leave SOS notifications if necessary, but this is only for browser notifications. And this feature is also available for dealers' accounts. We have also added a new tag to geofence, a new tag to notification text. And this is related to geofences. If you store any important information in geofence description, such as, for example, dangerous roads or specific unloading conditions, you can now use this information. You can now send this data to your customer's driver if you use geofence description tag. And one more geofence-related feature that we have added is distance to geofence. We thought that it would be a good idea to track the progress and distance towards geofence. And using this feature, you can see what is the distance from a geofence to the units. And also you can compare the distance and track the progress, whether the unit is approaching or moving away. And this can be used in cases where address is not available. So imagine that you need to track the distance. For example, when a rented car is moving close to the border, or when a vessel is moving away from the harbor. So you can use this nice feature to track the distance.
Yes. The next feature is about digital sensors. Over the years, we have added new table types into Wialon. And one of the new tables types that we have is digital sensor. What does digital sensor mean? It's essentially only giving you sensor activation and deactivation duration and the time of activation and deactivation per sensor in a unit from the unit properties. So you configure the device with various sensor properties. I'm specifically talking about digital sensors. And then you get to come up with complex work-related productivity reports for each unit. Now, in this case, what we have is I'm asking in this report template a bucket loader, front loader, ignition, movement sensor, and idling and parking. So these are all digital sensors, and they are all configured based on whatever validation that you choose. And in the report, what we get to see will be masked and grouped according to individual sensors. And you also see what exactly the productivity is. In various businesses, you have productivity it could mean different things. A vehicle is idle, but it could be productive. It could be actually working. In this case, any value above 1 is productive. If it is using a movement, if it is moving or using a bucket sensor or using both. In some rare cases, you would be using a hydraulic lift as well and being idle. So when you have these conditions, you can configure that as being productive. And individually, you will be able to make these groupings, and ultimately, you will know exactly how long the vehicle operated. You can use this report table for generators. You could use it for dewatering machines. You could use it for any sort of machine that is going to be idle and still working. So this, thank you. This is going to be quite useful for a whole lot of industry applications. All right? Okay, this is mine again. In logistics over the last year or so, there have been minor changes, but significant changes. Changes that make a lot of sense to dispatch management and order processing. In this case, as you, those who have already used will understand that there are 3 stages in the whole process. You create an order, and then you assign the order to various units. So once you assign orders to units, you have the flexibility of changing the entire order set to a new vehicle, in case the vehicle breaks down, in case the driver is unable to make that. So you send another vehicle, and you offload all the orders to this new vehicle, and then click on the top right, and thereby reassign the entire order, including the route, to the new vehicle. And then, another very exciting feature that we have come up with is, while you're planning the order, you realize suddenly that there are too many orders to this one vehicle. So what do? We simply click on this reassign icon at the bottom, and then choose the orders that you want to move. In fact, you can just drag and drop. You see on that there's a small up and down arrow. You just move it up and down, and then reassign the orders according to whichever vehicle you choose. Completely arbitrary. There is no processing here, and you decide how the orders go. And now, the most exciting thing is we have customers who have asked us, we want to save the whole thing. The orders, the routes, and the vehicles. So now we have given you a template. You create all this, and you save it as a template. When you save this as a template, all you need to do is assign a date. You assign a date, repetitive dates, and then this whole shebang gets shipped and sent to the right vehicles on those particular dates. Exciting? Yes. So that is something that really comes in handy for what kind of industries. Let's look at waste management. You're not going to keep changing your waste management system overnight. You already planned the whole thing. You just have to reassign it constantly. There are people who use this for waste management, by the way. Some of our partners are already here. And then we also use this for schools. Yes, it is used in schools as well. The beauty is you can use Wialon Logistics for an entirely different business, which is not the original intention of Wialon Logistics. And that is what these tools enable you to do. Thank you.
Our mobile products also receive small but important updates. And now I'm going to tell you about mobile Wialon. So we now have Google Maps available as a layer in the mobile app for those who use our own paid Google API key. So you can use it if you need it. small usability improvements that we have made. As you all know, as you probably know, the mobile app also has the work list, and you need to add units to the work list to be able to track their location on the map. So we've added a checkbox, units from web monitoring panel, and this checkbox synchronizes all the units that you have in the web-based version of Wialon with the one in the app. So if you have already configured monitoring panel in your web-based version, you can enable this checkbox. You don't have to configure it once again. So this way you can track exactly the same units that you have in your monitoring panel. And also we've added another useful feature. So you all know that it is not possible to build routes using the mobile app, but it sometimes may be necessary. For example, when you forgot where you left your car and you would like to build a route to it. So we've added a long tap feature, and if you hold your finger somewhere on the screen, just for a few seconds, third-party navigation app can be opened to build the route. For example, you can use Google Maps to see it.
Okay. How many of you have used ViaTag here? Great. No, Alex, you don't count. The beauty of ViaTag is that you can use it for a lot of things. But earlier we had a minor request from a few customers that they wanted to control the deployment of ViaTag. Deployment means, what I mean is like giving the access to the user to log in and continue to use ViaTag. So how do we start doing that? Unattended deployment of ViaTag. This is basically what it does. Unit properties, you create the unit. You create the unit with an IMEI number. Yeah? You put in the IMEI number. If you want to put the password, you can just put the password, but not necessary. And then you go into viatag.com. We actually have a domain name called viatag.com. You go there and you enter the IMEI number. Okay, this is done by the manager. Go into the viatag.com, put in the IMEI number, and select active, standard, light, or custom. You decide what kind of profile that the end user who has the ViaTag on will be using. And then you can also create an admin password. So without this admin password, the guy who is using ViaTag won't be able to change anything in the system. Isn't that exciting? So you deploy ViaTag to hundreds of users, ask them to just go download ViaTag, and I can already see smiles coming from you. And then you control how they use ViaTag. And then on the mobile app, on the ViaTag app, they will select QR code, go online, or you can even send, in the previous slide you already saw the QR code. There is a link to it. You send it to them as a WhatsApp message or whatever, and they read that. They read the code, and the system completely, it logs into to the system. It logs into Wialon server, and they will be able to use it. And in case they need to change any settings, if you have put the password for administration, then they will need to put that password in. Without that, they cannot change any of the settings on ViaTag. So this becomes a really useful tool for unattended deployment of ViaTag. Great. Thank you.
So security comes first, and now I'd like to tell you how we improved security. First of all, we've added two-factor authentication feature to protect your sensitive data. This feature can be enabled in user settings on security tab, and it it helps to confirm a user's claimed identity. So if you enable this feature, a user will have to enter his login, password, and a special one-time code, which can be sent either to the email address or to the mobile phone number that you specify. Of course, if you want to use SMS, then you need to enable SMS messages service in account properties CMS manager, but you can still use your email. And the advantage of a one-time code is that even if someone gets your personal data, he won't be able to use the stolen password. That's how verification code looks like. And another security-related feature that we have added is password change when the user logs in for the first time. So he is obliged to change his password, and it ensures that only the user himself knows his password. This may be necessary if you send passwords in your emails and someone gets access to it, which is not very good.
And this is like the milestone and the most exciting feature that I want to present to you, the calculator. Has anyone here used calculator? Not enough. Okay, so thank you. Yes, we have had calculator custom columns, as we call it, earlier for very few table types, engine hours, as well as trip reports, trip table. Now we have add calculator icon, the button appearing for all table types, for every table, except images and video. All the other tables will now support add calculator. At the bottom, you will get the add calculator button. You click on that, and what you get is an index of all the columns that you can use. You can also use in the unit properties consumption by rates, standard hourly rates, and mileage coefficient. So these are values that you set in the unit properties. And those unit properties can be made available in your formula. And how do you write the formula? This is one example. A mileage divided by 118. And with this, you will be able to simply compute the carbon emission for that particular unit. You can also add some coefficient from the unit properties, these three items that you see here, or some other mathematical computation, and make it available here. There, I have also renamed the custom column into carbon emission. I can name it whatever I want. I could also use that as a costing for per mileage or per odometer reading or engine hours or whatever. And I can have any number of custom columns in this table. So the table is going to look like this. You can see that it's grouped, and then carbon emission appears. This is also giving me the mileage. You can see the mileage amount is computed, and you've got the custom column. And you can have, you can use this for a lot of things, right? You want to compute hourly rates for the driver, or you want to see even the cost of running the whole operation per mileage or per engine hours. Thank you.
Right up next, what's new in Nimbus? Nimbus has also received a few updates. You probably know that we have added locator feature to Nimbus. This allows you to share the location of the bus as well as its timetable to anyone who has access to the link. And we further improved this feature. We have added groups of routes to locator so that only certain routes would be shared and not all at once. We have also improved Evo search. If you're using Nimbus, you know that you need to activate the depot before before your customer is able to use Nimbus as well. So we've added a feature that allows you to enter account name into the search field, and you will spend less time activating the depot. And finally, we have also added better visualization to completed rights in Nimbus. Now, if you're interested to use it, you can go to Reports tab in Nimbus, run a report on unit right, and click on a small icon. That will show you information in a better, more user-friendly way. It will show you if all the stops were visited or not. You have like white ones that were not visited and green ones that were visited. And you will also be able to compare scheduled time versus the actual time. Hopefully you can use it. And miscellaneous. Now I'd like to tell you about miscellaneous. These are very small features, but they greatly improve usability and user experience. So the first feature I'd like to tell you about is that we have added automatic map centering on a unit. So earlier in the past, it was not very convenient because you had to click on the unit name, and you still had to use zoom in buttons to see a close-up location of a unit on the map. But now this can be done with just a single click on a unit name. The map is automatically centered, and you can see close-up location. We have also added battery level indicator to monitoring panel. This feature can become handy for those who use asset trackers in container shipping, and also for remote devices that do not have their own power source and that need charging. So using this feature, you can quickly scan for devices that need charging. We have also added location detected by cellular stations, the so-called LBS, into reports. Previously, it was not possible to view location detected by LBS, but now it is possible, and you can view it just like location detected by GPS. And again, this may be useful for for your customers who are involved into container shipping. So you know that it's important to know where the container is at the moment. Of course, we are not talking about precise locations because it's not possible to detect the location using the exact location using a cellular station, but still your customers will be able to know when the container reaches its destination, whether it is in transit or it has finally arrived to its final port. And finally, the next feature will be useful for those who actively use retranslators. We have added exports to Excel file so that you could quickly scan for the list of IDs, retranslator IDs, and check them if it is necessary. Thank you very much. Now we have Q&A, I think.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions.
Easy questions, please.
No questions?
No questions? I don't believe this. You have a question? No?
Good, yes.
Yes.
One question, please.
How
would like to ask you about the private mode sensor.
Yes.
Yeah, if the private mode sensor is deleted, the previous message will be, the previous tracks will be shown to the user.
It simply hides GPS coordinates, so
Yeah.
it doesn't delete it.
Yeah, it's right. So if the sensor is deleted, the coordinates will be
Yes.
shown again.
Absolutely, but it is not a problem because if you restrict changing
the
the properties,
privilege
the
not
user
delete.
cannot delete this. And moreover, we have one more way of getting private trips in Wialon. We have a special script which works with the help of LESPI, so it cuts off GPS coordinates. So you can sort of choose between these two ones because they both work. But if you need to cut off messages, you can use a script which runs using LESPI platform. This is also a nice option, but it sort of requires a little bit time to configure. But once you configure it, you can use it and it will work.
Thank you. Another question for Nishad maybe about the Wialon, the configuration of Wialon. Is it just standard configuration, or I can change my parameter, let's say the filtration parameters?
At the moment, it is standard configuration.
Just
There's light, active, and one more. There's actually four of them.
standard.
But whatever is set there, you will be able to use those.
It will be in the future.
Perhaps. But I cannot comment on what's going to come in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the questions.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I see no questions in WhatsApp.